Good morning. Just finished another great book, The Tipping Point in Leadership by David Berg. Great book, really, really effective book. It's a short read. It took me 2 days. Well, I started at like 5 o'clock at night, read for a few hours, and then fell asleep. Well, not really. I went and did something else. And then the next day I picked it back up, and before I knew it, it was already over. I was like, wow, that was too fast. I wish there was more, right? Couple of key takeaways. What I did with the last book, Snap 30 Days to a New Personality. I'm gonna do the same thing. Take notes, and my notes will be available for sale in maybe about a week or so. I'm having problems with the internet at the hotel I'm at. I'm actually in Medellin right now. I can get internet with my phone, but for some reason the computer's not working. I don't know what's going on. Anyhow, yeah, let's knock right into it. Some of the key takeaways I got from it. Effective change begins with awareness, and awareness always leads to choice. Right? What this book was like, how do I say this? All right, when I was little, my dad would always sit me down. Right? If I was in trouble or if I was acting like a little kid, he sit me down and he said, "You have two choices. You can choose to continue to act the way you're acting. And then if that's the choice that you make, it's your choice, it's not mine. Then the consequence of that is you need to basically be in a timeout and be by yourself because no one wants to be around you, right? Or you can make the choice to change your attitude and come join the rest of everybody else and have a good time, right? So let's read that again. Effective change begins with awareness, and awareness always leads to choice. So becoming aware of the surroundings around you, right? And how your attitude or your behavior or whatever, your choices in life might not be benefiting you in the long run. You might think in the intermediate or at the very moment your choice is a good choice. But if you take a minute and become self-aware of yourself and what you actually want in your future, that might not be the best choice for you at that time or ever. And what the book also discusses is every day we're given upon thousands of choices. Almost every second, every time. It is truly every millisecond you're given a choice. Should I take a deep breath? Take a small breath. Should I pick my nose or not? Scratch my face? Or should I brush my teeth now or brush my teeth later? Each one of these choices has an equal consequence to the choice. I don't know if I said that correctly, but there's always a consequence of what you do. It doesn't have to be a negative consequence. It can be a positive consequence, right? But it has a consequence. So with that little, become aware of your surroundings and become aware of what you're doing because everybody has a choice. What he also discusses is like intelligence has nothing to do with making good choices. And let me elaborate on that. In his book, he discusses, he spent some time with homeless people, and some of the most intelligent people he's ever met are homeless. And he said it's not about intelligence; it's about most of those people have that victim, right? I'm a victim. Woe was me. The whole world's been down on me. Everyone else has it easy but me. We've all been there. You know what I'm saying? Been the victim of our own choices, right? And what he was saying is, yes, this person might be the most intelligent person in the world, but if you don't make the right choices in your life, then the end result's always going to be the same, right? It doesn't matter. You could be the next Einstein, but if you don't conduct your life in a productive manner and make good choices, and if you consistently make bad choices, then bad things will happen, right? I don't want to get too far on that because I'm already took up 4 minutes on choice and awareness. Because the book's not about choice, it's about leadership. And then here we go. Effective leaders must be developed. It does not come by chance, position, title, or age, right? And let's think about that. That is true. Like in today's society, leaders are appointed. Like especially in the government, we appoint people. They might not have any good leadership qualities, but we appoint them to be a leader, right? It doesn't necessarily they're going to be successful at leading, right? So what this means is effective leadership has to be developed. So it takes time, just like your basketball shot has to be developed. You have to develop your basketball shot. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and be, Larry Bird. Oh, well, that's too old for everybody. Um, no, can't even think of anybody right now. You know what I'm saying? I just took a blank. Ray Allen, that's close enough. I can't think of anyone from the Warriors right now. I don't know. But yeah, like your basketball shot has to be developed, just like leadership. In the beginning, you might not be an effective leader, but doesn't necessarily mean that over time and practice and constructive criticism, right? Because everyone's perfect. So if you feel like you're going to be perfect and don't accept criticism, you're just stupid. Because you have to take criticism. That's how you change. You're never going to be perfect, and if you think that you're perfect, that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? No one's perfect. Look at a little baby. Like when they learn how to walk, how many times they fall down? They fall down quite a bit until they finally get a hang of it and they start moving around. You know what I'm saying? They have to develop the skills to walk, right? Same thing with crawling. Like, you ever seen a baby? I did this to my little niece, 6 months ago? Might have been, no, it was almost a year ago. I thought she could crawl. She was doing the motions, you know what I'm saying? When I was holding her, I let her go and bow, fell right on her face. She started crying a little bit. And Kara's like, "What did you do?" My sister's like, "What did you do?" I was like, "Well, I thought she could crawl." She's like, "No, she can't crawl." I was like, "Well, looked like she was trying to, so I'll just let her do it." She hadn't developed the skills to crawl yet. So she might have thought she was going to be able to do it. I thought she was going to be able to do it. But when it came around, she couldn't do it. She fell flat onto her face, right? Now, I seen her 6 months later, and yeah, she was boot scooting, boogieing all over the floor. You know what I'm saying? Can't keep up with her now because she's developed those skills to be able to move around, right? All right. We kind of talked about this. We'll talk a little bit more. The only difference between a positive and a negative attitude is personal choice. Bar none. Personal choice. It does not matter how much your life is horrible in that moment of time. You have a personal choice to be negative or to be positive about it. Period. Period. Brings us back to a story when I was at one of my programs. And, I badgered the story all the way, but I hope the message gets through, right? So, this boss was telling this worker, you know what I'm saying? This worker always had a great attitude, always smiling, whistling. Those type of people that is almost annoying how happy they are all the time. Like, no matter what happens, it's raining, pouring down on you, but for some reason the sun's always shining on them, right? You get the point of what I'm saying. Well, as the story goes, the owner, or, the boss, just wanted to be a little bit of an asshole and try to break this person's spirit, right? Break his positive attitude. So, it was a horse farm. And he gave the happy go lucky employee a pitchfork and sent him into a room of shit, like horse shit, stacked all the way to the top, right? All the way to the top. And the boss said, "This is your job. You need to take this poop, whatever, and clean it, right? Clean it out of there." A few hours later, the owner, or the boss, goes sneak or spies on him a little bit, and he's still singing, and he's happy. He got something over his nose so he doesn't smell the poop and all that kind of stuff, but he's still happy-go-lucky, like nothing's wrong. This is kind of frustrates the owner, or the boss. He doesn't get it, but in his mind, he's like, all right, in just a little bit, this is gonna break him, and he's just gonna quit, right? So later, towards the end of the day, he comes back to the employee, and all day, you know what I'm saying, smelling like shit, you know what I'm saying, having a hard, smile on his face. The boss asks him, he's like, "How can you possibly be happy?" He said, "With all this shit in here, there got to be a horse in here somewhere, right?" So instead, he took a bad situation and turned it into good. I'm gonna say it again. With all this poop in here, or with all this poop, there has to be a horse in here somewhere, right? Now that's a positive attitude. No matter what the boss or whatever did to him, he ended up still having a good attitude. He looked at it because he has that choice, just like you do, just like I do, has a positive or has a choice on everything that we do. It does not matter how much shit life throws at us. We have a choice to look for that horse or to complain and give up, right? I said, don't want to go too far. We've got a couple more notes right here before, you know what I'm saying? I write my actual notes. And like I said, they'll be available for sale, just like the other ones. Um, well, we kind of went over that. The voice of a positive, productive attitude is the most important trait of an effective leader. All right, so it's kind of like the same thing with the horse and the shit scenario. So the most effective thing that you can do as being or the most important thing you can do as being an effective leader, right, is having a positive attitude. Because if you have a negative attitude and you're pessimistic on everything and you're not open to constructive criticism, then what you're doing is you're setting a model for everybody else. So as a leader, people are going to follow you. So if you have a closed off personality, well, guess what? It's going to be up shit's creek and without a paddle, right? And everyone's going to follow your method, your model. But if you have that positive attitude when there's controversy or when there's obstacles, you have that positive attitude like, yes, let's figure out a solution. Forget the problem. The problem doesn't matter. There's always a solution to a problem. If you have that attitude, well, everyone that looks up to you or follows you is going to have that same attitude. You know what I mean? Because you're not allowing them to have a different type of attitude. You're only allowing them to see things in a positive light and look for solutions and not problems. Like one thing that I always tell everybody, I don't believe in problems. Problems don't exist. It's just a speed bump or whatever. There's always a solution to it. It's just a challenge. A problem is just a challenge, right? Your car blows a tire. Yeah, it's a challenge. You got to get out of the car. You got to, ratchet up, undo the screws or whatever the bolts and put a new tire on, right? Solution to the problem. Then you're back on the road, moving down. Let's keep it moving because it's already 12 minutes. You may be you may be fearful, uncertain, and insecure, but if you have the resolve to do what it takes for as long as it takes, you will succeed. It's kind of like running into each other. Diligence, motivation, determination, and whatever Asian you want to put in there. You have to believe in yourself, and no matter what, just don't give up, right? No matter how long it takes. Personal situation, for me, I don't know if she's my girlfriend, not my girlfriend. We'll just say she's a friend. It's been one of the most difficult relationships I have ever had in my life, right? We have argued, fought, had different opinions, different everything. I'm not going all the way into it because one, it's not your business, and two, I don't want to bore you, and it's for a different time. But at the end, like this says, you might be fearful, uncertain, and insecure, but if you have the resolve to do whatever it takes, for as long as it takes, you will succeed. After 4 years, I'm not talking 4 weeks, 4 days, 4 months, I'm talking 4 years, right? No matter how long it takes, you will succeed. After 4 years, the two of us are getting to the point to where we can communicate with each other. And it kind of helps that, my Spanish is getting a little bit better. She didn't speak any English. But over the years, a lot of people look at me and they don't understand it. And they don't understand. I'm like, well, you guys aren't paying attention to the other aspects of it, right? There's some reason why the two of us are still together or still talking to each other. So we bring beneficial things. Now, remember I was talking about constructive criticism just a little bit ago? What she does is she brings a lot of constructive criticism to me. And it's been able to help me change, right? For the better of myself. Because if she was just negative as what everyone thinks or everyone says, then there's no way in the world that she would have lasted in my life this long, right? But through this time of the 4 years, we've been able to develop, just like, nothing's natural, develop communication skills and develop the ability to understand each other, right? And, insecure, uncertain, fearful, all that. I mean, you never know what life has in store for you. It's just like opening a new little business. Over the 4 years, I've tried and failed in so many different businesses, but she's been there for me the whole time. People, what people don't realize. So yeah, I don't want to talk anymore about that. I went way off topic, but I hope what I was trying to say makes sense. Like, if you're determined and it's something that you really want, like, don't get discouraged or don't get fearful or uncertain or any of that, right? Go for it, work for it. When it gets hard, don't give up. Keep on pushing forward, pushing through. Find that solution to that problem because there's always a solution. Change your perspective. You know what I'm saying? Have that positive attitude and see how much it helps you in your personal life and in your professional life. As we proceed, a couple more notes. The only true measure of leadership is effectiveness, right? Let's think about that. We can think we're leaders. We can name leaders and leaders and leaders and leader of the football team, leader of the basketball team, leader of the country, leader of this. The only measure that we can measure any of these people is their effectiveness. Can they get the job done in an effective, efficient way? Now the book goes into the different types of leaders there are, different type, right? So you got the leader that wants to do everything by themselves and it basically is negative to all their workers and all that kind of good stuff. And then you got the leader that is an effective leader that brings a positive attitude, helps people to achieve goals, doesn't try to do everything, trusts their employees, doesn't try to do everything by themselves. Like if they're not in the office stops because they're so untrusting that they have to do everything by themselves. Like an effective leader is an efficient leader too, as well. To where if they're where it's like a turning wheel, right? Now, if it's greased and all the spokes, the wheel will still turn if one of those spokes is not there, right? Now, if all the spokes, like looking at a thing of a bicycle wheel, all the little spokes, you take one of those spokes out, it's all right. The wheel's still gonna go, and that's kind of what he's saying. An effective leader is if that leader is one of those little spokes, and he goes out and he has to do some other things, or she, it's interchangeable. That wheel's still gonna roll, with or without him, right? So that's like more of a less of an effective leader. Now the ineffective leader, right? And yeah, they might get a lot of things done if they take that spoke off, that wheel stops, because they're not just taking one; they're taking the whole inside of the wheel. So when they're not there, there's nothing else, right? It's just a deflated tire, right? It's not going anywhere. So he in the book it helps you determine and help yourself get to the point where you can become that effective leader. So where you take one of them little spokes off and the wheel keeps on rolling downhill or uphill or whatever hill way you want it to go. Leaders become aware and then they take action. So they think about what they do, right? They don't just jump in a situation and be neurotic or whatever, like we discussed in the other book. They think about it. They're well educated or well calculated. They think about what they're doing. They look at they begin with the end in mind. So it's kind of, you know what I mean. They think, they're aware of their surroundings. They're aware of the consequences of each action, and then they decide. They weigh their decisions, and then they do it. Now here's the most important thing. There's no such thing as a natural leader. At first, I didn't agree with that. I was like, well, of course there's natural leaders, and I'm a natural leader, right? Nah, it's not true. Leaders are developed, not born. You might develop the skills to become a leader at a very young age, but you're not a born leader. It's the circumstances and the awareness and the circumstances that you've lived in and the choices that you've made in your life that have allowed you to develop into becoming a leader, right? And hopefully it's helped you become an effective leader. like for me, some of the things that I read through this book is gonna help me change a lot as being a leader. I'm not, because a lot of the things that I do, I'm one of those, you know, take the wheel with me and nothing else goes because I don't really trust other people to get it done. Well, that's great. It served me great in a lot of the things, but it has also hindered me. It's not allowing me to progress as fast as I might want to, right? So with this book, you know what I'm saying? Like after I do the notes, you know, I just read it, so I have to internalize the book some more. And you know, once I do the notes and everything, then it'll be much more internalized, and I have a much better like internal perspective on how I can change and better my life. And you know, I might do another video, I might not. But once again, you know, thanks for listening. Soon there will be, I don't know, by the time I actually put this up, there might be a link for the notes on this book. Again, it's this one, The Tipping Point in Leadership. Great book. As you see below, you will have access to be able to buy it on Amazon. There'll be a link below, and then obviously there will be a link to the notes if I get this, if I do the notes before I post this video. I'm not quite sure, but if I post it before the notes are there, just look back and you'll have some notes. Have a great one.